We all know that debt in America has gotten a little bit out of hand. There's over $1 trillion in student loan debt, which if you are a millennial or part of Gen Z, you know that one all too well. There's almost $4 trillion, or maybe a little bit over $4 trillion in consumer debt, and the government itself is in debt. So if it's such a common thing, why is nobody talking about it? I'm Suzanne with Arvabelle, and in this video I'm going to give you a few different tips and a couple of different methods that you can use to actually start paying off your debt. If you find this video helpful, remember to hit that like button. This isn't really anything groundbreaking, it's just pretty hard to find free information about managing your own finances, and we are trying to change that. So if you are interested in seeing more videos on personal finance, entrepreneurship, and just navigating life as a young adult in general, consider subscribing to the channel. I also have to make the disclaimer that I am in no way a financial advisor. This is just general information, and if you do need help with your finances, always go and ask a professional. So first, we need to address that there are actually two types of debt. There's good debt and there is bad debt. Good debt is debt that is taken out with the purpose of increasing your net worth or generating extra cash flow. So an example of people who would use good debt would be real estate investors. They are taking out loans in order to buy properties that will increase their net worth as well as generate extra income for them. But that's not the debt that we are going to be talking about. We are going to be talking about bad debt. This is your average consumer debt. So this would be things like credit card debt, excessive student loans, car loans, those furniture financing offers, payday loans, things of that nature. The goal of getting out of debt is to really take on more financial freedom and have the ability to focus your time and money on things that matter to you now instead of paying off things that you took out loans for 5 or 10 or 20 years ago. So here are a few tips that will sort of help you lay out your plan for paying off your debt, as well as help you eliminate a couple of problems that could come up as you are going on your debt-free journey. For each loan or debt amount that you have, it helps to actually know when you are going to be able to pay that off. Take your minimum or your average payment that you are making or that you're supposed to be making and calculate the number of payments that you have left and the number of months that that would take. After you do that for each individual one, calculate the month and the year that you would be completely debt-free. Figure out the exact date if at all possible. Having that date in mind will really help as a motivational tool, because if you are putting in that extra effort and that extra money towards paying off your debt, you'll start to see that debt-free date move closer and closer, which means that you are just that much closer to being financially free. So let's talk about credit cards. Now, I am all for credit cards, and as I say that, Dave Ramsey is somewhere in the world throwing his computer out the window. But credit card rewards, cash back, all of that good stuff, I'm all for it. However, credit cards only work in your favor if you are using them responsibly. If you are mostly in consumer debt and you know for a fact that credit cards are a problem for you, get rid of them. Now, you may not actually want to go and close the credit card accounts because that actually hurts your credit score, but get them out of your physical and digital possession. And that one, getting them out of your digital possession is very important. So hide them, lock them away, but most importantly, I want you to pause the video and do this right now. Disconnect your credit card from all of your online stores. That means Amazon. Not having that one-click buying option will make it a lot easier to resist making purchases when you are browsing Amazon at 3 a.m. As far as actually paying off your debt goes, you want to try to make extra payments when you can. This one is sort of self-explanatory, but the more that you contribute towards paying off your debt, obviously the faster that you are going to pay it off. Now, paying it off quickly also makes it cheaper for you in the long run because you are reducing the total amount of interest that you are having to pay on that loan amount or on that debt amount. Making extra payments now is going to save you money later. And the last tip, which is going to be kind of a touchy subject, is that you may just need to make more money to be able to pay off your debt. And I know I know for a fact that that is much easier said than done, but I do want to make a point here. There is so much of the debt-free community, especially on YouTube and on social media, that's almost obsessed with just budgeting, and cutting back. And I agree completely. You do need to have a budget, and you do need to be factoring in your debt payments into your budget. However, there is a problem with only focusing on budgeting and cutting back. There's this saying that you can't squeeze a dollar out of a nickel, and that is very true. The bottom line is that if over the course of a year you are trying to pay back $40,000 of debt, but you're only making $20,000, there is no way that you can make those two numbers line up unless you are bringing in more money. So this may mean switching to a higher paying job, getting a raise, starting a side hustle, whatever it is to bring in more money. And again, it's much easier said than done, but you just have to be realistic with your goal and be realistic with how much you are able to pay off in a year based off of your income. And it's also very important to not compare your finances with someone else's, because there are all of these like success stories of people who pay off $80,000 in 2 years or in 1 year or whatever it is. And again, you may not be able to pay off $80,000 in 1 year or 2 years if you're making $20,000. So now that we have those out of the way, let's talk about two actual methods that you can use to start paying off your debt. And that would be the Snowball method and the Avalanche method. The Snowball method is where you start paying off your debt based on the total balance amount. So you would do it in order from lowest amount to highest amount. You would pay off the lowest balance, cross that one off completely, move on to the next lowest balance, and keep going until all of your debt is paid off. So for example, if you had $7,000 in credit card debt, a $5,000 car loan, and $16,000 in student loans, you would first start with the lowest amount, so the $5,000 car loan. Then you would move on to the credit card, then you would move on to the student debt. Ultimately, this method is not going to be the one that saves you the most money in the long run, but it may be the method that you are able to stick to better simply because it's just a nice psychological thing. By completely getting rid of those smaller debt amounts, you get to cross those off your list completely and never deal with them again. And that can be really encouraging to see the progress that you've made and to see how much you've reduced the number of debt payments that you have to make. The second method is the Avalanche method, which is where you would pay off your debt in order of interest rate from highest to lowest. This method is going to save you more money than the Snowball method simply because of the amount of interest that you're paying down. But a lot of people find it harder to stick to, especially if you have a lot of debt that is at a high interest rate, because it can take a while to start like chipping away at that big number. So it may not be as easy or as satisfying to see your progress. So we'll use the same numbers, but include the interest rates this time. So let's say that $7,000 of credit card debt has an interest rate of 20%. You have the $5,000 car loan at 4%, and you have the $16,000 in student loans at 7%. Using the Avalanche method, you would pay off the amount that has the highest interest rate, so that would be the credit cards that you would tackle first, then you would move on to student loans, and then you would move on to that 4% car loan. If you can manage to do the Avalanche method, it will save you more money and it will probably be better for you. But if it's just not working and you need to have those little milestones of crossing off these smaller amounts of debt, use the Snowball method. Just use whichever one works for you. It doesn't really matter how you do it. It just matters that you are paying off your debt. These are really the two most common ways to pay off debt. And again, it's nothing like particularly revolutionary, but it's important to talk about, and it's important that you start addressing your debt. The worst thing that you can do is to just ignore your debt completely and sort of cover your eyes while you dig yourself further and further into debt. Once you are able to actually become debt-free, that allows you to have a lot more financial freedom. You can then start increasing your net worth, you can start investing, and you can just start focusing on things that are more exciting than debt, because debt is like, it's not fun. It's really boring. It's things that you have already bought, that you've already done, and you're still paying for them now. So avoid debt in the future. If you are on a debt-free journey and you really just have no idea where to start, I am going to leave a link in the description to Dave Ramsey's book, The Total Money Makeover. It really is a great place to start. Now, if you are a millennial or you are part of Gen Z, some of Dave Ramsey's ideas, I don't want to say that they're outdated, but they're a little bit outdated, some of them. So just keep in mind that you want to approach your debt in whatever way works for you. Don't just blindly follow what other people are saying, and you also don't have to pay off your debt exactly how someone else has paid off theirs. Just do whatever works for you. So if this video was helpful, remember to hit the like button and subscribe to the channel. Good luck with your debt-free journey, and I will see you next time.